Welcome to the Falcon's Quill English Academy. Today, we will learn about the summary of the Aristotle's Poetics. So, let's begin. Aristotle's Poetics is a seminal work of literary criticism that has had a lasting impact on Western thought, written in the 4th century BCE. It is a treatise on poetry and drama, with a particular focus on tragedy. The work is divided into 26 chapters, each of which discusses a different aspect of poetry and drama. In the first chapter, Aristotle defines poetry as an imitation of an action and argues that it is a more philosophical and serious art form than history. He then goes on to discuss the different kinds of poetry, including epic poetry, lyric poetry, and tragedy. The second chapter of Poetics focuses on the nature of tragedy. Aristotle defines tragedy as an imitation of an action that is serious, complete, and of a certain magnitude. He argues that tragedy should be written in verse rather than prose, and that it should be performed rather than read. The third chapter of Poetics discusses the elements of a good tragedy. Aristotle argues that the most important element is plot, which he defines as the arrangement of the incidents. He also discusses the importance of character, thought, diction, melody, and spectacle. In subsequent chapters, Aristotle delves deeper into each of these elements. He argues that the characters in a tragedy, if be neither to good nor to bad, but rather should be intermediate or mixed. He also discusses the role of thought in a tragedy, arguing that the best tragedies are those that provoke the audience to think about important ethical and philosophical questions. In the later chapters of the Poetics, Aristotle discusses the role of the poet, the audience, and the spectacle in a tragedy. He argues that the poet should be able to create a believable and coherent world, and that the audience should be emotionally engaged with the characters and the plot. He also discusses the importance of spectacle, or the visual and auditory elements of the performance. Throughout Poetics, Aristotle emphasizes the importance of the emotional impact of a tragedy. He argues that the purpose of tragedy is to produce catharsis, or emotional release, in the audience. This catharsis is achieved through the pity and fears that the audience feels for the characters in the tragedy. In summary, Aristotle's Poetics is a comprehensive work of literary criticism that explores the nature of poetry and drama, with a particular focus on tragedy. It emphasizes the importance of plot, character, thought, diction, melody, and spectacle in creating a good tragedy, and argues that the purpose of tragedy is to produce a catharsis in the audience. Poetics has had a profound influence on Western literary theory and criticism, and continues to be studied and debated by scholars today.
In the following lines, we are going to discuss some of the concepts and terms which are given in Poetics, and need deeper understanding for the students of literature. Aristotle's Poetics focus on the role of the plot in tragedy. Aristotle argues that the plot of a tragedy should be a whole, meaning that it should have a beginning, middle, and end, and that the events in the plot should be causally linked. He also emphasizes the importance of unity of action, meaning that there should be a single main plot that is not overly complicated or fragmented. Aristotle divides the plot into two main components, simple and complex. Simple plots are those in which the change in the main character's fortunes is brought about by a single action, whereas complex plots involve a series of actions and are more appropriate for longer works. Aristotle argues that complex plots are superior to simple plots because they allow for a greater range of emotions and actions. He continues the discussion of plot and focuses on the concept of reversal, peripeteia, and recognition, anagnorisis. Aristotle argues that reversal is an important element of the plot because it creates a shift in the character's fortune from good to bad or from bad to good. This reversal should be caused by the character's own actions rather than external circumstances. Aristotle also emphasizes the importance of recognition, which he defines as a change from ignorance to knowledge, leading to love or hate between the persons destined by the poet for good or bad fortune. This recognition should be caused by the plot and should be linked to the character's reversal of fortune. Aristotle argues that recognition and reversal are closely linked and that a good tragedy should have both. Subscribe for more videos.